Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in the Weather Center on this Wednesday afternoon, now tracking a severe thunderstorm warning for the Lake City area, and that goes until about 4:45 here this afternoon. This warning for parts of Columbia and Suwannee counties, central Columbia, eastern Suwannee to be precise. The worst of the action, though, going to be moving in toward Lake few minutes, so want to be inside and away from windows here for this possible severe thunderstorm, and can't even completely rule out a quick spin up tornado. This warning here does have a tornado possible tag in it. The rotation not tight enough for a tornado warning in and of itself, but a thunderstorm warning with that tag in it means a quick spin up is not completely out of the equation, not out of the question here, as we're looking toward Lake City, Wellborn, as well as 5 Points, Watertown, Lulu, Winfield, and Swanee Valley. So watching this move east at about 30 miles an hour here in this area. I'm going to go ahead and put our velocity mode on. We're looking from the Jacksonville Radar, which is a little higher up, closer to 5,000 feet. But you see some rotation there closer toward Winfield. We'll watch that. I think the Valdosta Radar will give us a better shot of this. So let me go ahead and switch on over to that here. I will try to give you a better look at that here in just a moment as I go ahead and go back to the composite type viewpoint here on our other mode. You'll see there is a lot of lightning here with this as it moves toward Lake City, I-10, I-75, getting in towards some of the worst of this right now. You see temperature dropping some there, but as I take that layer off for a moment, we have a marginal risk of severe weather in play. I gotta continue to watch for a quick spin-up tornado here in this green area and in this other green area, a quick damaging wind gust somewhere ending close to that zone. As we go ahead and put the radar back on, you can see here watching things carefully, seeing things in terms of our supercell composite here show up just a little bit in toward areas near the south. I'll see that here from this mode. You can see I got some of that here. You have to have these parameters that kind of come together. Tornado parameters or instability parameters, you do see some of those. They're not in complete lining up mode really, but still they are in play enough to get some severe potential, severe thunderstorm warning for a highly populated area in and of Lake City. So that's why we're on earlier. That storm we were watching wouldn't have maybe been on for it if we were watching a situation like that with just a thunderstorm warning. But with a tornado warning, we had to be on it. With this thunderstorm warning being in a populated area, we need to be on here as well. As I have that Moody radar now pulled up, you see the worst of the wind shear here showing up near, it looks like Interstate 10. So a possible spin here, maybe a quick tornado can't be completely ruled out here. No debris signature right now, though. You see heavy rains. That'd be rain wrapped if we had a quick spin reaching the surface, a 65 to 85 mile an hour spin, maybe even just a land spout type of spin with winds below that, but 60 mile an hour winds with the overall pattern can't be ruled out either here as we're looking closer toward I-10, I-75 and the Lake City area. You see the heavier rain moving on into town right now. Not necessarily severe weather, but heavier rain toward Northwest Lake. It looks like Jeffrey Road, Northwest Florida Avenue, Wilson Street in here as well. So gotta be kind of cognizant of what is happening. Again, you see some of that stronger wind showing up near Winfield. Ironically, there in toward Columbia County, near Winfield there. You see a lusty. We'll be watching stuff. Maybe try to get closer toward them a little bit later on. With this movement, you see some kind of line dipping on down. Even though the storm itself kind of moving east, the line moving down toward the south some. You see the look from when we had a tornado warning earlier. You see how things have kind of dipped and dived on down some. So have to be cognizant of that here as we're watching a severe thunderstorm warning. You want to go ahead and remember when that thunder roar is going indoors. Really, just be careful. A quick spin up tornado can't completely be ruled out. Now we're only looking 3,000 feet up, so if we had a debris signature pop up, it'd popping up pretty quick, but that would already mean a tornado's on the ground, and it's too late to take shelter for some of you. So just be careful here in toward Columbia and a little bit of Suwannee, but mainly Columbia County here at this point, and in the Lake City area. So you see again Winfield there. You see 5 Points. You see these areas here under the threat. I mean, when you have these reds and greens in that loosely organized way, more tight to the north, but loosely to the south, you do have to watch out here for the threat of some of that wind kind of surging on in toward Lake City a little bit here with the rain reaching the surface. So gotta be watching. Let's look at upscale growth. This is a unique product. We don't always see all that often here on that ZDR product. You don't see a lot of that here, which is good. We're seeing enough of that. That's about the most organized in this line, it looks like. So there could be enough there, maybe to get some intensification here as we're looking toward areas here, southwest side of Lake City near 75. But if there's a quick spin-up tornado, it'll be right here near I-10. Again, this is a thunderstorm warning right now, but we're going to look at some other things here. I know these are unique things. We just have to kind of look at some different modes of the radar to see if we have anything kind of going on in terms of turbulence in the atmosphere. Maybe seeing some of that here, maybe seeing some of that wind shear. We'll go to our rotation tracker now. Again, since we're near Lake City, I want to almost treat this like a tornado warning because can't completely rule out a quick spin up here in this area. Even if we had a quick spin up, the circumstances and consequences would be pretty similar, and the winds would probably be in that 65-mile-an-hour range, give or take. So here's rotation tracker now. You see that rotation as they have canceled Swanee out of the warning now. They're continuing that for Columbia, though. They're continuing this warning for Columbia County as we continue to watch things. You see the rotation tracker. You see our other area to the north earlier that kind of moved from Columbia into Baker was fading away. But we're continuing to track things. I know, trying to get that latest information in to protect you, your friends, and your family here this afternoon. As you see a little bit of a bow here, I guess you could call it, within this line. Kind of seeing that here, maybe getting a little bit of that wind trying to come on in toward the Lake City area in Columbia County. People maybe headed home from work, something like that there around Lake City. Again, this is not a tornado warning, but a thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag in it, meaning still a tornado couldn't be ruled out. So a thunderstorm located over Winfield or near Lake City, moving east at 30. Damage to roof, siding, and trees can be expected here for some. As Lake City, 5 Points, Watertown, Lulu, Winfield kind of complete this warning here. Remember that you might want to move to that interior room on the lowest floor of a building, and also that torrential rainfall is occurring with this storm and may lead to some of the ponding waters on the roads there. Maybe flash flooding too, as you don't want to drive your vehicle through that higher water because you don't know how deep it is. No flood advisory officially, but just be careful here because this is a populated area near rush hour there, and the heavy rain's coming on down. Not always a great trend, but we haven't had a lot of rain lately, so hopefully we can get this rain to go down pretty quick. We need the rain in some regards here since it's been kind of a drier period, but we don't want the severe weather obviously here this afternoon. Speaking of the rain, our 1 hour rainfall estimates here from the Untitled Radar, you can see here upward to 2 inches toward areas there off to the north. I'll go ahead and put our mouse back on and point this out for you. You see here south of White Springs in these purple areas, so close to about 2 inches in the last hour according to radar estimates. You see that struck with the other storm, kind of being able to pick out where some of the stronger updrafts are and the stronger storms that have the potential for some damage are based on our rainfall trends. Another one toward Camden County, but we're looking higher up on the radar with that, and that's kind of off the coast now. Some of that line is anyway, but going back in toward the Lake City area, you do see here our storm total rainfall now kind of say what's going on here. As this loads on in, I know, trying to give you guys an idea of where this one is, Winfield, Lake City, Lulu. You see a lusty here off toward the east as well. So we'll continue to be monitoring things with this here toward north central Florida. Again, so thunderstorm warning for Lake City. You see some of this heavier rain here having fallen 3 inches, some spots toward Hamilton County. You see these little strips here. We saw it more in the 1 hour, but still going to continue to watch as we look at some of our echo tops now. This gives you guys an idea of how high the storm's going, another angle of how high the updrafts are going here. You see Lake City upward to 43,000 feet, 44,000 feet in here. So again, some of that higher storm acts and maybe the higher storm and severe potential there between Winfield and Lake City right now. We're on Winfield and Lake City, so got to be careful for that. Got to be monitoring that here this afternoon. Now, the rotation's pretty broad, but there's enough wind energy that could be trying to move in here. Our radar's only showing winds to about 40, but even that could knock out maybe an isolated area of power there with a limb falling on a power line, something like that. But 60-mile-an-hour wind with the winds going in opposing directions couldn't even be ruled out here in this scenario toward Lake City, Columbia County, Going to check some of our power outage information right now behind the scenes. I know looking toward Baker County earlier, didn't really have anything mounting at all from that storm. We don't have any outages in Baker, Columbia, Union, or Bradford right now, according to poweroutage.us. That's obviously great news, but some of that's a little delayed in terms of the information that we're getting. So we'll continue to watch things very carefully. I know monitoring things here with the trends. Looking off toward the east into Duval County, getting some pretty heavy rain. So let's go ahead and pop up the baseball grounds camera here. You'll kind of see what's going on there as we look outside here at the moment. You can see here pretty stormy. Let me take off the severe thunderstorm warning information. I don't want to confuse anybody because it's just a one-man band, so I'm running the supers. I'm running everything to stream. So it's just as fast as I can do things here and make changes to things. But that severe thunderstorm warning, not in play for Duval, but you still see some heavier rain there, making it a little hard at rush hour. And if you're in a downpour, sometimes it might not matter if you're under a warning or not. It's still pretty treacherous out there when you haven't had rain in a while, not used to driving in the rain here. As we're looking out there toward Jacksonville. So again, that's the baseball grounds camera in toward Duval County for now. I know the Weather Service in Jacksonville talking about there's an uptick in the rotation along I-10, 2 miles southeast of Winfield there. So we'll continue to watch that, continue to monitor that. And then go ahead and move away from this camera here. Let me go ahead and pop up our other modes so we can kind of show you some more things within the Doppler. Let's go ahead and zoom in here just a little bit. You guys kind of get an idea. There's the rotation about 2 miles southeast of Winfield, right in there, trying to come together. It may be a little tighter, nothing extreme, but we'll continue to watch it here in the Weather Center. I'm watching some other things behind the scenes that are really valuable in this situation. Just so I know, I'm looking at one of our cameras, looking pretty dark around Stark right now. Not really enough interesting things to say on there, but still just interesting to kind of be able to pop that up behind the scenes, at least from my viewing of that. So again, we're watching some rotation here in Columbia County. This warning for another 30 minutes. So if we don't have a tornado warning, what I'm going to do right now is take a break for about 5 minutes in the coverage. Some of the worst of this, though, getting through Lake City and starting to move off here more toward the east here, east side of town, maybe closer toward Watertown. I know I've been on that road there many of times, State Road 100, in that intersection zone coming home from FSU through the years. So but definitely familiar with this area, headed home from Tallahassee toward Stark. But you see a little bit of wind enhancement here along I-10 toward the north. Not as familiar with that chunk there of I-10, but still watching things, correlation coefficient. If we saw a dropout, like a yellowish area itself, we'd be more concerned within this polygon, this yellow polygon, but we're not seeing that right now. That's good news, obviously. Heavy rain toward McClenny, nothing severe with that right now. Towards St. Mary's there, you do see some wind enhancement. We're looking off the other radar to give you a better look at Lake City, though. But we'll continue to monitor things very carefully here as we continue looking for upscale growth here, our ZDR product. This is something that you can use in severe weather coverage sometimes. You see a little bit of that here, eastern part of Columbia County. We'll continue to watch that. Maybe a little in southern Baker as well, based on this product. So that might mean an uptick in some intensity, but we're not seeing a lot of that with our wind mode. And let me explain velocity for you here before we take a break. The velocity, when we have the brighter greens and reds, that indicates higher wind speeds being detected by the radar, in this case at Moody Air Force Base toward Valdosta. We have the lighter colors here. We're talking about maybe some of the stronger winds, but the darker colors here indicate here and are indicative of weaker winds here trying to reach the surface, and that means weaker winds. Now you have bright green, bright red, that means rotation. Just one of these colors here in the picture, you're talking about more straight line wind. In this case, we have marginal green and red here. And in this situation, we're talking about weak rotation. Not necessarily a really strong wind, but base velocity will say you a little bit of stronger wind, maybe to 45. This is still trying to sew it off toward the west, but we're running a few minutes behind. Some of this is sewing up here, not completely aligned here with what you would expect with the radar algorithms, but it could just be kind of mixed in the rain here. We just got our latest scan now, more aligning with things. Still could have some stronger wind there around Lake City. Not out of the question here as we get into the rain a little bit more, which is, again, kind of intriguing to see. Could just be the way the radar is reading things, though, with the mixing it down there of the rain and the wind. But still, Columbia County, Lake City, no all clear yet. You still got to be monitoring things. A wind threat there, 60-mile-an-hour gusts possible in toward Lake City. I don't have any damage in from that area there earlier toward parts of northern Columbia and parts of Baker counties with that tornado warning. This is the thunderstorm warning though, so we're going to keep watching, see if we get a quick spin up tornado or a tornado warning. But for the time being, we're going to take about a 5-minute break. Still be careful around Lake City. Not all clear yet, based on how things are aligning within the algorithms, but just be monitoring things there in Columbia County. You're still under severe thunderstorm warning till 4:45, and we'll be back here in about 5 minutes with more information. Stay tuned. Back here in the Weather Center now at 4:24, still tracking that severe thunderstorm warning toward Lake City, toward Columbia County. That goes to 4:45, and even the worst of it starting to move away from Lake City in some regard. We still could have some wind in there, as this warning does include 37,851 in terms of that population, 12 schools, 3 hospitals there, according to the Weather Service in Jacksonville. So we got to continue to be monitoring that, even with that population information. Some of the worst of the wind here kind of moving toward the southeast part and the eastern parts of town, and maybe moving toward Baker County here over the next little bit. I know Weather Service in Jacksonville now talking about how the downward trend there with the strong storm potential is the likely scenario here, with weakening instability and most of the stronger updrafts becoming embedded there in the broader shower axis. That'd be some good news, obviously, and maybe this will be our last warning here today. Can't rule out something developing still, though, with a rotational area spinning on up, because we still have enough of that shear and instability around, but we have maybe seen a decreasing look at some of that here over the last little bit. In fact, I'll go ahead and pop that up for you. Let's go ahead and switch on over. You can kind of see our instability values dropping on off some. As I take this off, you can kind of see here, that's our tornado parameter there and supercell, and you can kind of see how things aren't really aligned too well, but they're aligned enough to maybe have some issues. I know some rain falling around Stark, where I'm at now, so that's something to kind of be mindful of here as well here on this Wednesday afternoon. Continuing to watch things very carefully. I know, looking at some information behind the scenes so we know exactly what we're talking about and have the latest information on hand here. We're again kind of seeing a weakening trend. We just got a significant weather advisory, though, until 5 o'clock for parts of Baker, Bradford, and Union. Not a severe thunderstorm warning, but a significant weather advisory. And you can kind of see what we're talking about. That means they're probably going to drop this warning here soon. At a time, maybe winds in excess of 40 miles an hour. Maybe winds in excess of 40 miles an hour, moving toward parts of Baker, especially McClenny there in south and near I-10, and a little bit of Union, Bradford included in here as well, though. So you've got to be continuing to watch things. Zooming back out just a little bit again, touching on that population, touching on Bradford County here, with some of that rain coming on in, the worst maybe to the north, but still seeing some of that here down toward the south as well. We have to be kind of mindful, because even though the storms moving east in and of themselves, we are having the line kind of go southeasterly, so that can kind of lend itself here for some issues at times. So we'll continue to watch things very carefully here. Let me go ahead and pop back up our other mode right now. As you kind of see here, our wind direction switching around here. You can kind of see how things cool off a little and dry out behind this line, but this isn't our big system that's going to cool us down, because as you look toward the weekend, that system there is going to be stronger, especially off toward maybe areas there toward the Arklamis, for instance, or somewhere in that general vicinity with stronger action in play. But as it moves toward our region, the severe threat still may be there to some extent, especially some of our western areas. It's too hard to really get into specifics right now. That's why I don't want to really kind of say anything with that at this moment. But behind that core area, more noteworthy and prominent than this here for sure, and maybe a bigger severe threat overall toward the west. We'll see if it is a bigger severe threat around here or not. It's too soon to say. But another graphic I want to pop up here, folks. This is not a tornado warning we're dealing with, but because it's in a higher popularity area, severe thunderstorm warning, we want to kind of stick with you here because we have that weak rotation, don't have warnings all that often here this time of year. In these type of setups here, we're talking about a situation where we just have a few days here or there with the warnings, and those days can be active. We had today there on Christmas Eve last year, so active, wasn't really expecting that, but it was a day where we had a small chance, don't get me wrong, but there's a chance similar to this. And that day in January, we had that tornado west of Tallahassee move on in near the airport as well, a marginal risk day. This is also a marginal risk day, so that's why I'm here in the Weather Center. You can't discount those 1 out of 5 severe weather days, because you can have issues. Sometimes we have a tornado watch and nothing happens. Sometimes things are nailed perfectly by the Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center. Meteorology forecasting not simple. It's hard. You have to really know what's going on, and even then the models kind of could fail you sometimes. So you just have to kind of make your best forecast there in these type of situations. As we go ahead and look back here now, tornadoes in terms of the last day since those warnings issued by an NWS office. I took the screenshot early this morning here from the Iowa Environmental Measurement. This was before we had the tornado warning. 4 parts there of our area in terms of Baker and Columbia being included. We were 153 days or so since the last tornado warning at this point of the day. No days, though, because of that warning toward Big Bend, but now no days for Tallahassee office area, no days for Jacksonville since that last warning has been issued. You see areas there toward the north, like the Birmingham office, still been a little while. Not to change as we look ahead. You see some of those 1s and 2s there. Granted, the times changed in terms of, let's say, the day progressing is what I mean by this. I could have jumped some of these numbers around, but again, I told this before we had that warning issued. I wanted to see that in general here with these 1s and 2s because we saw the threat there of storms in that area as well be pretty prominent at times here with some areas of weak rotation, and now resetting at 153, 154, whatever it ended up being there. 2-0 toward Jacksonville. I know with Elsa, it might have ended up being, as I do the math here, maybe it's still been 153 because that last warning was late in the day that day with the tornado threat. So definitely might have only been 153 with Elsa in play. But now, again, resetting that count from 153 to 0 here with the day since the last tornado warning by NWS office. So kind of intriguing to see that here for sure. As we look at things with this map, some areas quite a bit longer there haven't gone without a tornado warning. But again, the big story, we're setting that number 153 to 0. Now, as we had that severe thunderstorm warning just drop off, they just sent me a notice here in the chat session that says severe thunderstorm warning no longer in effect as the severe storm has weakened below that criteria that requires a warning to be in play. It no longer poses an immediate threat to life or property. Therefore, the warning has been canceled, but strong gusty winds still possible with the thunderstorm as some of that accent moves more toward Baker County here at this point. Let's give you one last look at our GR level 3 radar here, a little higher resolution view here of the actual radar. And you can see still a little bit of wind shearing here. We'll continue to watch, make sure nothing spins up on us. Still checking the chat session, making sure things look good. You see how things are kind of diving to the south. So as we look towards dark, definitely could get some rain here in the picture. Definitely could get some rain here in the picture, maybe some lightning as well. Hopefully we don't get severe weather, but we could kind of use that rain here. Haven't had much since that nor'easter even, as we were looking back about a month ago. Some areas toward the west even less, obviously, as they didn't really get into those influences from that. But one more day than that day, though, as we look at some of these temperatures right now. You see 75, last check here, toward Keystone. This may update on us here, but you get the idea. Some of these numbers here in toward the 70s and mid-70s, and there's your update. You see down to 73 now toward Keystone. So falling on off some 76 Gainesville. You see the contrast, though, between the north and the south with these numbers. As I know, significant weather advisory now for Baker, Gilchrist, Southern Columbia, Suwannee, and Union here. According to the way they issued this, and in fact, we'll be talking about specifically here, and they kind of do this intriguing way of issuing these with the polygons and then the actual nomenclature, but we're talking about northeastern Gilchrist, southwestern Baker, Union, Southern Columbia, and southeastern Suwannee through 5. Significant weather advisory now, so getting further down along this line here, there may be enough wind energy for some gust there towards about 40 miles an hour, give or take. As I put some of our wind gust information on, again, some of these numbers here will be updating on us, but we'll continue to watch here as you see the latest look at things here. The latest look at some of these storms moving on in. Another area here of wind enhancement to the south. The northern wind enhancement to 5 as well. That's moving east, but again, southeast with the line here. Moving on in, we'll be watching around Stark. Could end up having a significant weather advisory later on, or some type of warning. Right now, I think maybe more of a significant weather advisory scenario based on some of the parameters dropping. But you still got to remain on guard. We'll be here in the Weather Center watching. If something else breaks, we'll be back on with you. But otherwise, have a great night. We'll be back with our formal update tomorrow as we're on that holiday schedule as we've talked about. Our next formal update will be tomorrow. But again, as severe weather breaks, we'll be here in the Weather Center to keep you advised.